Have you ever nodded along while someone said, "I'm fine with anything you choose," only to realize later it was a way of taking the steering wheel from your life? If there's one major red flag in a man that you should never ignore, no matter how charming or promising he seems, it is the habit of gradually stealing your sense of agency, giving you the appearance of freedom while quietly eroding it. This is more than bad behavior. It's the foundation of a relationship that can leave you feeling powerless, alone, and deeply hurt. Stay with me, because understanding this will change how you see someone's words, actions, and your own intuition forever. Before I continue, I strongly recommend watching this video without skipping any section, because each part builds on the one before it. And while you're here, kindly hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Thank you. 1. Why this red flag matters more than you might think. Most relationship advice talks about obvious warning signs: yelling, lying, addiction, cheating. Those are serious. According to clinical psychologist Wendy Walsh, red flags are behaviors or traits that suggest a person probably can't have a healthy relationship, and proceeding down the road together would be emotionally dangerous. But here's the catch. The most damaging red flags are not always loud. They're subtle. They creep in. They slowly change your starting point, from "we're two equals" to "he decides, I follow." When a man gradually takes control over your decisions, your boundaries, your autonomy, he is telling you something fundamental. Your own voice is optional. That's not just a flaw. It's a structural weakness. 2. What we mean by stealing your agency. When I say agency, I mean your right, your power, your freedom to make choices about your life. Where you go, who you spend time with, what you believe, what you want. Here's how it often plays out. At first, he's enthusiastic. He says you decide where to eat, what movie to watch. You feel respected. Then you notice he suggests where you go, and your suggestion is quietly ignored. Then you realize, when you decide something he doesn't like, he gets upset or uses silence. Then it becomes, "we'll do what I want," and he frames it as "for our good, for us." Eventually, you find you have fewer friends, fewer separate interests, fewer options. And yet you remember, "I thought I was free." This shift is subtle, because if it were loud and wild from day one, you'd probably notice. But when it's slow, when it's masked as care or protection, you might dismiss it. That's exactly why it's dangerous. 3. The psychology behind it and how it shows up. 3.1 Control and manipulation. Red flags often tie back to control. Psychology researcher Charlie Huntington defines relationship red flags as traits or behaviors that suggest someone may not be a safe or positive person to have a relationship with. Control doesn't always mean yelling or violence. It can mean guiding, limiting, isolating, pressuring, with a kind smile. 3.2 Gaslighting and devaluing. When a person continually dismisses your feelings, you're overreacting, or reinterprets reality, that never happened. They're stealing agency by making you doubt yourself. This is called gaslighting. It's a classic sign of a partner whose intention is to dominate the narrative. 3.3 Isolation. Cutting off your connection with friends, family, outside interests. It's not coincidence. It's part of making you more dependent, less free to say no. According to the list of red flags on Very Well Mind, controlling nature is explicitly cited. A partner who tries to control who you see, who you talk to, where you go. 3.4 Erosion of boundaries. If you say, "I don't like when you do that," and his response is frustration, guilt-tripping, or outright disregard, your boundary is being ignored. A boundary is a line that keeps your sense of self intact. When another person steps over it consistently, it's a signal. 3.5 Unequal power dynamics. A healthy relationship has give and take. But when one person always takes and the other gives, you gradually lose power. Psychologically, you start to accept less, speak less, and your self-worth begins to shrink. 4. Why this matters especially for you. You might be thinking, is this really that important? He isn't threatening me. He isn't violent. Should I flag it? Yes, because the real cost of losing your agency is internal, emotional, deep. You stop trusting your instincts because you've been told they're wrong. You stop asking for what you want because you've been told you'll cause trouble. You stop being the author of your own life because someone else quietly wrote your script. When you lose agency, you hire yourself out, emotionally, mentally, sometimes financially, to someone else's design. That's not love. Peter Muji Karuga, a family therapist, points out that when someone refuses to take accountability for their past or insists all their ex-partners were crazy, they're signaling a pattern. A person who disrespects others' agency likely won't respect yours. When you ignore this red flag, it often doesn't just stay small. It grows. It morphs into deeper issues: emotional abuse, isolation, lost identity. 5. Real-life warning signs to watch for. Here are key behaviors that signal the agency theft pattern. If you spot more than one, pause and reflect. He forgets you said something important and then treats it as though you never said it. He frames it as your mistake. He gets upset when you spend time without him, even when you clearly told him you need space. He phrases it as "you don't value us." He dismisses your friends and family as too negative or not good for you, and subtly presses you to choose between him or them. He makes decisions that affect you both without consulting you, and portrays it as, "I handled it, so you don't have to worry." He uses guilt or fear. "If you loved me, you would," or "I guess I'll just do it myself," since you're not willing. You feel you're walking on eggshells, that you must check your words, tone, and timing to avoid his mood. You start changing your behavior. You stop wearing what you like, stop talking about your interests, stop asking for things, because you sense resistance. He reacts poorly to your assertion of boundaries, often making you feel selfish or unreasonable for stating what you want. These may appear small or justified in the moment. "He cares about me. He's being protective." But what is protective in the abstract often becomes restrictive in practice. 6. Why this one red flag trumps many other issues. Yes, there are many red flags: lack of respect, substance abuse, repeated lying. But why is the loss of your agency red flag absolutely crucial? Because it undercuts every other area. If your partner steals your power, the issues of respect, trust, boundaries become harder to fix because you've already been weakened. It follows you everywhere. Whether the conflict is about money, children, friends, career, if you've given up agency, it affects all domains of life. It's hard to recognize when you're in it. You don't spot the shift easily because it feels gradual, sometimes even helpful, at first. But over time you wake up in a version of your life you didn't sign up for. It reduces your future options. When you accept that your voice doesn't matter, you begin to shrink your ambitions, your dreams, your limits of what you will allow. A relationship that starts healthy with equality turns into something that drains you. In short, you can fix lying, you can fix bad communication, but if you're not in the center of your own life, and you let someone else move you off center, the relationship itself becomes the problem. 7. How to catch it early, before too much damage. 7.1. Slow things down. Wendy Walsh advises that you slow down the relationship so you can actually see the person, not just the romance. When things move too fast, rapid declarations of love, immediate closeness, etc., your guard goes down, and the shift of agency is easier. 7.2. Listen to your gut. Something about this isn't right is an important seed. Psychology describes red flags as signs that your risk appraisal system is activating. Don't dismiss your unease simply because everything looks okay on the surface. 7.3. Ask critical questions. How does he talk about his ex-partners? If the pattern is, "all my exes were crazy/didn't get me," and he never owns his part, that's telling. How does he treat other people? Waiters, neighbors, friends? If kindness is absent in small interactions, it won't suddenly appear when things get harder. How does he treat your voice? When you voice a concern, is it listened to or dismissed? But does he make decisions that affect you without your input? Does he ask what you want? Or does he say, "This is for us"? 7.4. Define your boundaries early. Before you let yourself be pulled into we identity, clarify your own, your time, your friends, your interests, your values. A man who respects your boundaries now will respect them later. 7.5. Monitor how he handles no. When you say, "I'd rather not do that," how does he respond? With respect? With disappointment? With anger? The response to your no is the window into how he values your agency. 7.6. Keep your life independent. Maintain your own friends, your hobbies, your goals. If you start loosening those in favor of being closer, ask, "Am I losing myself bit by bit?" Slowing down and paying attention doesn't mean you mistrust, just that you protect your autonomy until trust is earned. 8. What you do when you've noticed it. Noticing the red flag is one thing. Acting on it is another. Here's a roadmap. 8.1 Pause and reflect. Take time alone. Are you saying, I don't feel right more than he did this once? Are you compromising your values, your time, your identity for the relationship? 8.2 Communicate clearly. You might say, when you make that decision without me, I feel as though my voice doesn't matter. Listen to his reaction. Does he validate you or dismiss you? 8.3 Observe the response. A partner who values you will say, I understand how you feel. Let's do better. If his response is guilt-tripping, blaming you, stonewalling, that's a red flag confirmed. 8.4 Decide your threshold. You must decide, is this fixable with open communication and change, or is this a pattern? According to Verywell Mind, if the person shows no sign of self-correction, it may be time to walk away. 8.5 Reclaim your agency. Whether you stay or leave, you reclaim your voice. Renew your interests, reconnect with your friends, set clear boundaries for what is acceptable to you. 8.6 Seek support. Talk to a trusted friend or a therapist. You don't have to figure this out alone. Coaches and therapists can help you rebuild confidence and clarity. 9. Final word. Don't settle for a half story. If you ignore the theft of your agency, you risk a life of quiet compromise. A life where you look back and wonder, how did I stop noticing that I couldn't decide for myself? The world will tell you what a partner should be: loving, caring, supportive. But I'll tell you what a partner must be: someone who lets you walk beside, not behind. Someone who asks you what you want, not assumes. Someone who honors your no as much as your yes. If tonight you ask yourself, do I feel free in this relationship? That question deserves an honest answer. Because when freedom leaves, love declines. When you lose your agency, you risk giving up your future. And that is a red flag you should never ignore.